Hello, I'm Philip Stoden. I'm at Apex 2025 and I'm on the Koyoung booth talking to Joel. Joel, pleasure to talk to you. Good to see you again. How have you been?
Always good to be together. Busy.
Yeah, it's busy. It's exciting.
It is. But this is that time of the year where we're, I guess, a little extra busy with preparations. We want to make it as perfect as we can.
Yeah.
It's a huge potential linchpin for our business for the rest of the year and into the following. So we want to make sure everything is again as perfect as it can be, and that takes a little time.
Yeah,
so,
you have a great booth here. It looks great, and you've had plenty of people here. So
I'm super happy with how things came out.
So that's been
team
nice.
Putting it together. And,
It's
always good when a plan works, right?
Absolutely, great when a plan comes together. I was thinking about where we are politically and where we are economically in the US, and I just reminded.
Do you have any answers?
No, but I was reminded that when people were talking about the election, they were talking about all these different things. They always came back to it's the economy, stupid, and that could almost be the title of what we need to talk about. It's the economy, it's tariffs, it's trade. Is that putting a lot of pressure on your customers, and is it maybe slowing down some of their investments?
Well, it feels like it is, and from some of the folks I've talked to prior to today and today, it certainly is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've spoken with others today that are plowing full speed ahead, and basically they made the decision that the world is not coming to an end regardless, and things have to get done. I subscribe to Kiplinger, and they put out a weekly letter, and they basically project, the comparison at year end from how we finished the previous year to the year we're in, so 2024 to 2025, and it's GDP's going to be down slightly, from roughly 2.8 to 2.4, not devastating. This is their projection.
GDP growth, right?
Interest rates are projected to stay in the 4s. Unemployment's going to be about the same. It doesn't look like we're going to see a radical shift either way.
Yeah.
Right? Based on what and these are guys that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
These are economists. These are people that are paid to project, and so with that, you got to feel like we just have to go, right? We have to go. I mean, literally, we're kind of in a mode where I think we all know that Mr. Trump is using these tariffs, in particular, with Mexico and Canada, to get something
to forward another agenda
above and beyond.
Yeah,
he's looking for a renegotiated trade deal.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So people can break free and start to see the money flowing again.
Yeah.
I've had people
I think that's
tell me
particularly
today
important for Mexico, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we know. I think the confusion with Mexico is twofold. I think there's going to be a new normal in terms of what's a really good year for our industry. Right? 2022 was an anomaly, right? We've talked about this before. Post-COVID, we're rebuilding inventories. We're investing like crazy to catch up for what we weren't able to do in 2020 and partially in 2021. We had all the incentives, all the EV, all the green, and as we know now, a lot of that's up in the air a bit, right? At least for the Americans, right? So a lot of equipment was purchased. That was a major investment, and I think that's a cycle that doesn't happen often. You need another major event, right, to have something like that go on. So I think there's a new normal in growth expectations. But we still need to figure out a way to overcome that, right? And we do that with new products and new software, improvements to what we already have in hand, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, I think that kind of plays into the other thing I wanted to talk about. But what is really interesting from what you've said, I had a conversation just before I spoke to you with one of your very happy customers. They are planning to build or acquire another site. So they're looking at almost doubling their capacity. They have twice as many people at Apex as they normally have. One looking equipment, but predominantly coming here to figure out how to use AI. How do they use AI in their business? How can they really leverage AI to allow them to grow in an area where they can't necessarily grow their talent pool? So it's really interesting that there are pockets, particularly here in the US, where companies are just going gangbusters. They're doing really well.
Yeah, and so for everyone that's kind of waiting and taking a wait and see attitude, there's others that, as I said, have made the decision that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
There may be a little bit of short-term pain.
The underlying
but in the
trend's
end,
good.
it's going to be okay. And you know what's the intention here is obviously to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. And they're banking on that happening, right? They're planning for it. And the AI piece is certainly at the forefront of how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
We've talked, Phil, over the last couple of years about how automation has to play a role. Now, we're in a very highly automated space as it is, right? When you look at the PCB assembly line and even the semicon side, it's a lot of it's hands-on. Back end not so much, but for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's still a huge opportunity and need to automate the balance.
Yeah.
And as we've said and talked about in the past, AI is really the fuel that's going to make that happen.
It's going to push us over.
And we've seen that even in our own business.
Yeah.
In fact, what we really are showing as our most prominent piece and improvement, our new, if you will, everybody wants to do, is exactly that. It's all the work that we've been doing since we last met at this show a year ago to employ that superior parametric data set, copious amounts, extensive in terms of volume that AI needs to correctly be trainable and provide the desired result. So when we look at our KAP tool, Koyoung Auto Programming tool, just extensive effort in again utilizing that data, really turning up the heat, turning up the volume to make that tool and others more intuitive, less dependent on human interaction, and to the point where at some point soon, basically we're gonna put a board in the machine. It's gonna collect its data, and bam, we're done.
Fix everything it needs to fix as it goes.
And that drives toward the lights out, similar to the smart review tool. Again, using a much greater amount, if you will, of AI in creating these independent engines to do all these tasks to address the various attributes that make up the process in total, and creating a situation where we're going to eventually, if we're successful, take the review operator completely out of the process, and by the way, move more to that horizon where we're now. What is it? Agentic? Is that
agentic?
Agentic, the term for it. Where, much like autonomous cars, we're self-correcting without any human need. We're seeing that already with our KPO tools. But taking that to another level, right? If I can adjust those tolerances automatically at that review process, then why can't I feed them directly back to the machine itself? Adjust the tolerances in the program and never create a situation where that a decision needs to be made. Is it a defect or not? Well, we've taken that completely out of the mix.
I think what's really interesting in the application of AI is you have all the ingredients and you have the path. So it all starts from really good data. It's like teaching your kids. You can't teach them with bad data. You're not going to say, go and read everything on Twitter. That's where you'll learn. You're going to say, look at these books. This is where your sources should be coming from. So you have a reliable source. Second thing is you're creating processes that are quite often co-piloted. So you're advising and saying, hey, that needs to be adjusted a little bit. Someone comes and adjusts it. But if that gets it right every time, there's that point where you got to say, I don't need to go and check this on you. You take care of this. If you're not sure, by all means let me know. But if you're sure, do it.
Yeah.
And to me, that education path, that development path to the agentic model only makes sense if you can have all those bits. If you can't trust your image, you can't trust your data, and you don't have that domain expertise, what chance?
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's just such a great point. I think I mentioned I saw an IBM ad recently for Watson that says, if you're looking to employ your trust in AI to take you where you want to go, you damn sure better trust what it's doing and how it's doing it. And so that's such an important piece of this. You really have to understand, to some degree, how AI works. The fact that the data has to be solid, right? And it has to be in significant quantity. When you look at all the Google and Apple results that they're able to produce, well, it's because they're listening to us all the time.
All the time.
We're collecting data 24/7. So, when we look in our space here, I think that's very important, and we feel very emphatically that we have that superior data set. We have more data than anybody out there because we have been true 3D from the beginning. So it's the right kind, the right way, the right amount. And when we create these KPO tools, we do it exactly as you said, right? We started on the KPO printer side with PAM and PDM, analyzer and diagnostics. And basically, we're doing an automated DOE to come up with the recommended parameters for speed, pressure, release, manually set them. Then we're gonna use the diagnostics tool to, again, basically analyze at a higher level or a broader level for trends and anomalies beyond just X shift and Y shift, hotspots and all this kind of stuff. Hey, we have a problem. I think this might be a solution. On the screen, Mr. Operator, please make the adjustment. Still manual. The final piece is that completely automated, self-correcting. The AI machine learning engine is going to, instead of advising you to make a change, it's going to go ahead and make the change in the printer setup.
That's exactly what you do with someone on the team. If someone on the team gets it right every time, you give them autonomy. It's really,
exactly. You're right.
It's really a simple, simple equation.
And I think the customers see it that way too, right? And they were in some cases part of that development process. Similarly on the mounter side, right? We started off, hey, you might have an issue based on what we're seeing with this feeder, this spindle, this nozzle. Here's your report. At the end of the run, manually go change it. Right? Now we're to the point where we're not only automatically skipping that feeder, spindle, nozzle on the fly based on what we see, but also making self-correction for X, Y, rotation, theta, without any human intervention.
So when you talk to customers, are they smart enough to realize that if they don't need a new machine, they should still come talk to you and figure out what they should be doing to get more out of the machines they've already got?
And that's, and that almost starts to migrate into this sustainability conversation where, we have hardware literally that's still running from installations we did in 2005, right? 3030 SPI machines. They're obviously end of life. We support them the best we can. Obviously we can't. But what we have been able to do with those tools from that point forward is on a very scheduled and regular basis, come out with new software, new features that basically take what was old and make it new in terms of capability. Right?
Give it a bit more life.
So I think that you have to look at it that way, and then understand that, again, hey, these guys have put their focus in the right place, right? They we've been talking about this for years, and I've been saying, there's going to be a shift, a paradigm shift in what can be done with the data and why the data is so important. And not only just the data, but accurate, robust, trustworthy data in the amounts needed to utilize things like artificial intelligence to drive this automation that we're talking about. And it's coming to fruition. That's what's happening now.
So you better be keeping that data.
Well, exactly, and that's that's another conversation. It's certainly a challenge because in reality it's the customer's data, right?
Yeah.
So there's some there's some ins and outs. There's some things that have to be overcome with that. But at the end of the day, when you're making those partnership selections, you really have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
There's smart factory, and then there's the smartest factory.
Yeah.
And
you definitely want to be the smartest.
and the definition lies in the beholder. But,
Yeah.
but yes, we want to be able to accommodate the smartest.
Yeah.
So
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Let's hope for some stability and clarity with the economic forecasts and the tariffs.
It's coming.
And that should help us all move forward. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.